Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Happy hour. I'm so excited this week. I've got a really awesome guest for you guys. If you don't know her already, you're definitely going to want to check her out on social media after this is over. And I'm really excited to share her and her story with you guys, and for me to learn more about her. My guest today is Nhu Nguyen, and Siri's trying to talk to me, apparently. I was not talking to you, Siri. My guest today's name is Nhu Nguyen, and she is amazing. She has got quite the resume of experiences and accomplishments. She is a Porsche technician. She's award-winning. She's done all of the things. She's absolutely a phenomenal woman, and I'm so excited to have her join us. And it looks so. We'll wait for that connection to come through. And ladies and gentlemen, I introduce you to.
I forgot to turn my camera around.
Yay! Hi!
How are you?
I am fantastic. How are you?
I'm good. Hot, actually. It's warm here.
Yeah. Where are you right now?
I'm in Toronto.
Okay. Now, do you live in Toronto?
Yes.
Okay. Because you seem like you're all over the place all the time.
Well, actually, I have to correct myself. I live outside of Toronto, and I've been told that I can't rep the wrong city. So I'm from Mississauga. It is right outside of Toronto, but
Okay.
regardless.
All right. Yeah, we don't want to insult anybody. You gotta get that right. Awesome. I am so excited. Okay, very important first question. It's happy hour. What are you drinking? What is that fanciness?
I am drinking, this is a extra spicy Caesar with tequila. That's my drink.
Nice. I'm boring. It takes very little
No.
mixing experience. I'm drinking whiskey.
Nice. I wasn't sure what to drink, so I figured, you know what, this is kind of...
I dig it. I dig it. That's awesome. Cheers.
Cheers!
So you have done like everything. You're like the most amazing. I have so much respect for you, and like you've done so many cool things. You've won awards. You have done racing. You've done restorations. You're the first female to be silver and classic Porsche certified. Is that right? In the world, right?
I'm not the first silver certified,
Okay.
but I'm definitely the first classic Porsche Classic certified.
Okay. I mean, that's
Definitely.
huge in and of itself. Like
Yes.
breaking stereotypes, like breaking barriers, doing all of the things. Total badass.
Thank you.
But I want to rewind before we get into all like the fun, really awesome stuff that you're doing now. And I think it's really important, and I know from seeing your posts and following you over the years that you believe this to be true as well. Like it's really easy on social media to see everybody's accomplishments and then not know how people got there. And I think it's important for little kids to be able to see like, oh, they got here from there, or they're from here, right? So I can do that too. So I would love to have you share your story of how you got started, because you got started kind of a backwards path, kind of like I did into getting into this, and I like it.
I don't know how you got into it. I was gonna ask you after.
All right.
I got in late. I was 30 and I had to figure out what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. And I decided to follow something that I had really wanted to do getting out of high school, but I didn't have the discipline. So I left my office job. I found a shop that would take me on as an apprentice. And it kind of just grew from there. I was a quick study, so they moved me up, or they taught me a lot in my first year and a half. And when you were speaking with Hillary, you guys were talking about the apprenticeship program in Canada, which fantastic. The government pays for like 85% of the tuition.
So amazing.
So it's like there's no reason like not to do this if you really wanted to. So I found this shop. I worked, became an apprentice, and then I got an interview with a brand new Porsche dealership, and then I was there since.
Nice. So was the shop that you got the apprenticeship at, was that a Porsche shop as well, or?
No, the first shop that I started at, or well, the shop that I started at It's a small family shop. They did a lot of um, like construction vehicles, like vans and stuff like that. But it
Okay.
was a small general shop, so I had lots of different makes and models come in. But because there was a lot of focus, or not a lot of like construction trucks and stuff like that came in, I was familiar with like more heavy stuff as well.
Yeah.
Uh,
Like that's a switch. Go from like domestic vans and trucks to Porsche.
so my favorite thing was not having to like the mud and the rust that is like lives on these construction
Oh
trucks.
my
And then you go to
gosh.
a Porsche and it's like spotless underneath. It's
Totally.
amazing.
I went from working in New York to working in Arizona, and it was the same thing. I was like, what? I don't have snow and salt and road disgustingness dripping on me when I'm working on the car? Like, yes.
Exactly. And I'm such a mouth breather. It's like salt, like it's disgusting.
It's the worst. Oh my gosh. So why Porsche? And how did that wind up happening? Was that like a love
Happenstance.
or
Happenstance, actually. I didn't know, I wasn't familiar with the brand at all before I started. Um, I kind of thought it was like a little like highbrow. You know what I mean.
uh-huh, yeah.
But then I got the interview with this place. I landed the job, and just from the get-go, I find German engineering makes more sense to my brain than other, you know what I mean?
I feel like, and maybe tell me what you think on this. I feel like I'm going to sound really maybe just making stereotypes here, but I feel like it's a coming from outside of the industry. Like I didn't grow up around cars, and I think as a woman too, I approach things differently. Like I got into cars because I like the puzzle of it and I like the figuring it out, right?
Same.
And American cars, it really is true. If it doesn't fit, get a bigger hammer. German cars, if you get a bigger hammer, you're breaking something. And
Yeah.
it's the
If it's not working, it's because
finesse.
you're doing something wrong.
Exactly. Yes. And I like that. Like I like that feedback of that the tight German engineering that everything is, you know, right away if you did something wrong, right?
Yeah. It is unforgivable.
Yes. I have to say I'm a little jealous with your Porsche experience because that's where I wanted to be. I
No
wanted to get into
way.
Porsche, yeah. And I tried to go into their graduate program
PTAP.
after tech school. Yeah, PTEP, yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know, did you go through that program?
No, that's only offered in the US. And
Oh,
so when I was first hired, I was like reaching out to all these people because I had heard of it, but they said that that was for the US only. And for Canada, I would just go through the regular apprenticeship and Porsche
interesting.
training.
Interesting. Well, I mean, I guess we don't have anything like what you guys have there, so we needed whatever we could to do an apprenticeship, right? But yeah, I applied for Porsche and I didn't get accepted.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry to hear that. You would still be accepted now.
It's how I wound up with BMW because Porsche said no. But I love it. I
Yeah,
love
that was,
BMW now. I'm grateful for it. But um, so you said like this was a high school interest originally, being like
I
interested in
just I
cars.
sorry. I once I got my license and I started driving, I really liked driving, and then just not, like they always say that, we get taken advantage of, and don't get had and all this stuff. So I
Right.
always found shops that I could hang out and ask questions, and I had car friends and stuff like that, and so I kind of just learned, and then I worked delivering car parts for a while. So I was really interested, but then I didn't pursue it. I didn't have the discipline. I was like, I'm gonna end up nowhere, right? But then when I made the decision and when I was like 30, I think that was like the right time. I don't think I would have, I say all the time I didn't have the discipline, and I really mean that. I think when I was like coming out of high school, I would have screwed it up. I
Mm,
slept in or sick too much or whatever, but I had like the wherewithal in my 30s to really buckle down and like give it my
interesting.
all.
I think there's something to that, right? I think there's something to when you decide that you want to do something later in life. Like I kind of feel like in the US we push our, and maybe in Canada too, like we push our kids to get out of high school and figure out what you want to do. Like go to college for a specialty, figure out exactly what it is you want to do. I'm like, we don't know yet when we're that age.
We
Like
don't
there's
even know who
something,
we are.
yeah, there's something to be said for that gap year that I think is really big in Europe. They graduate high school and they take a year
Yeah, and they take
or
a year.
more to figure out like what it is they want, and then you're doing it because you want to, not because you were told you had to or you were
You
supposed
had
to.
to
Or
figure something out.
yeah,
Actually, that was one thing that I was gonna bring up is you were speaking to Hillary, you were talking about the trade deficit,
yeah,
right? And so I've spoken at my son's school several times, and that is one thing that I talk about is as an Asian female, as an Asian, it's university, become a doctor, become a
right.
lawyer. They emphasize so much on that, and we don't get to choose for ourselves. A lot of us are really good with our hands. It does not make us less of a person or not as smart. Following somebody else's dreams, doing something you're not good at because you're told to, that's not smart,
Yeah.
right? And so I talk about that all the time, and I encourage all the kids, not just the girls, to look into trades. It's fulfilling.
Yeah, amen. And you said even doing something that you are good at, but isn't fulfilling that you don't want to do, right? It
Yeah.
that's not healthy for the soul either. It's like find what it is that works for you. And when we don't expose our kids to different options of what they can do in their lives, like we're denying them the possibility of finding fulfillment. And that's really sad and unfortunate.
It is really sad. It is really sad, and everyone's resigned to the fact that it's okay to have a job that sucks and that, like you have to struggle every day. That's not fair to yourself. It's not fair to your family. It's not fair
No.
to like the people you work with.
No. Yeah. How old is your son?
14.
My goodness. Okay, so seriously, I've got like I don't have children and I have a hard enough time finding work-life balance. How the hell you are breaking down barriers, you're kicking butt in like every aspect of life, and you're a mom, you're a total boss babe, like all the way. How the hell?
Thank you so much. Well, he's 14 now, so he requires a lot less maintenance than when he was little. So I think
Liz,
that's where I like lucked out, is that now that I'm really going hard, he's old and he doesn't need so much. So
he's old now. I'm sure he'd love you.
he's
That's
independent.
there you go. There you go. Did you so here since you touched on, you're a person of color, you're a woman, you're in the automotive industry, like that's double minority in the automotive world, right? Did you find like I can speak to my experience as a woman, but did you find one or the other being harder for people to accept, or did
I would say being in Canada, I love Canada. I love Toronto for the fact that we're so inclusive. My being a visible minority makes no difference whatsoever.
that's
Being a
awesome.
female didn't make it difficult for me. It just made it a topic of interest,
Okay.
kind of like I've never experienced any what's the word I'm looking for? The opposite of encouragement.
Being discouraged, dissuaded.
Any discouragement.
That's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
That is,
Yeah, it's been really good.
I want to move to Toronto.
My career has been so far a perfect storm of opportunity and just people who were or are have been in the right mindset to support someone like me.
That's
I
awesome.
think I've been really, really lucky.
That is, you've done a ton of phenomenal things. Like I rattled off some of them at the beginning before you came on, and I want to like dive into some of them. But like of all the craziness that you've done and the accomplishments you've had, like what has been your favorite thus far?
My the biggest one that puts the biggest smile on my face, Porsche Canada had a restoration competition last year,
Okay.
and my dealership tasked me with restoring 994 Turbo, and I did this by myself. It was my first restoration. I didn't do the body. I didn't do any of the body,
Okay.
but I restored it by myself, and we came in sixth out of 12, which I'm still happy with. But I got the Passion Award as well, and they let me take the president of Porsche Canada around in the car for a lap on a track. So
Oh my
that was
God.
kind of awesome.
That is incredible.
Yeah,
Very
so that was
cool.
awesome.
Wow. That is awesome. So what you didn't do the
Thanks,
body
Brad.
work. What's that?
My friend's like, she blew it out of the water.
I'm sure she did. So,
Sorry.
so you didn't do the body work. What all did you wind up having to do on that restoration?
I removed everything except for like the carpet. So we didn't do any interior. The car came from Arizona, so
Oh,
it wasn't in rough shape. There was a lot of just sun damage. Anything that was exposed to the sun was
yeah. Welcome,
just
welcome to Arizona. Yep.
was baked. Was absolutely baked.
Yeah.
But the interior was good, so I just removed all of the suspension, the engine, the transmission, all the engine wiring harness, all trim, glass,
Nice.
everything off the car. They sent it off to paint, and then I just made everything new.
That's awesome.
I went
That's
through like piece by piece and made everything new. So it
that
was
is
fun.
super cool. So so you've done independent shop, you've done dealer shop, you've done restoration, you've done custom work, you've done race experiences, you've done like what, because I think that's like a lot of aspects. And I think a lot of folks in the automotive industry, like some of us get the privilege and the benefit of being able to like dabble in all of the different areas. And like now I know you're working right now or helping out at Ink and Iron with Hillary and doing, restoration stuff there. Like, not everybody gets to dabble in all of the different things. Is there an area that you like the most? And if you could like only do one?
Ooh. That's a really hard one. If I could that's really hard. Um, if I could do restoration for the pure joy of it and not like just not for money, just for doing it, that's what I would do. Because I love making things new. I love making it look good. I love, you know, turning something that was like just garbage and making it look beautiful again. I love that. I love that so much.
Yeah.
But that only feeds your soul. It doesn't feed your family, right? So
Yeah, truth.
so
They make it look
um
glamorous on TV, right? They're like all the fancy restorations. It's like, yeah, no, that's not where the money's coming from, though.
no. No, you don't see everything. But I think if I had to choose, I would probably just do engine building. I really love rebuilding the flat
Nice.
six, the air-cooled flat sixes. That's like my bread and butter.
That's awesome. Very cool. I like doing engine work as well. I don't do a heck of a lot of like actual rebuilding of engines because dealership life was like, you just replace it, right? Like it was
Yep.
more cost efficient to just replace it, but I really enjoy doing actual engine work on it. Yeah. So now
Same.
you're like what's that? I'm sorry.
I was gonna say that's why I got into the classics is because you get to do more of that
Yeah.
versus just and parts replacing.
When did you leave? I know, right? When did you leave the dealership?
When?
Yeah.
In March.
Oh, so
Yeah,
recent.
recent. I was at the new place for 7 days, and then I've been off for COVID.
And then Corona happened.
Yeah.
And tell us about the new place.
The new place, I'm super excited about the new place. It feels really homey.
That's
It feels really
awesome.
homey. It's also it's an aftermarket shop, but it's a high-end aftermarket shop.
Okay.
So they do a lot more of like the sports cars. They hired me on to grow their classic Porsche business, which is really exciting. They have a classic guy that specializes in Ferraris, so I'll be learning classic Ferrari as well, which
That's
I'm
awesome.
also really
That
excited
is
about.
super awesome.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit jealous.
Sorry.
I'm gonna come hang out with you for a field trip one
Yes.
day, and I'm just gonna
Yes,
come learn
please
from
do.
you. That's so cool.
So it's the
Nice.
learning opportunities that I just I love.
Yeah, clearly. Like you're always like learning new things. I think that's really fun. What was it like working with Nakai-san? Because that's
That guy sounds awesome. He's like the most chill person
is he?
in the whole world. He's like this uh tumbleweed. He just like rolls on through. He's like dusty and super chill. He's awesome. He's really nice.
That's how did that opportunity come up? And if you like would for anybody out there who doesn't know who Nakai-san is, tell a little bit about that.
Nakai-san is the brain and the brawn actually behind RWB Porsche, which are the super wide modified air cooled Porsches. You'll have to look them up. They're like a sensation. Super wide. Super wide. I love how audacious they are.
Yes,
Just, I love it.
they are. They are ballsy for sure.
Very ballsy. Like just all up in your face. So he's the gentleman behind that. And that was someone I met through Instagram,
Oh,
actually. The
nice.
gentleman, yep, the gentleman that built the Martini car in Tennessee, he, I think I was actually, have you heard of Rennsport Reunion?
Mhm.
It's Porsche Reunion. So I was at Rennsport 5 in 2015
Okay.
and just walking around, I saw the RWB for my first time, and so I went into the booth and I introduced myself, and the gentleman that was building the Martini car was there, and he kind of perked up because he's an overall Porsche guy, and hearing that I was a Porsche mechanic and building engines, he was like, "Hey, this
He's
is
like,
cool,
huh?
right?" Yeah, exactly. So he reached out, and I went to meet them in Tennessee for that build, and it's just a bunch of people that love cars building cars together, right? So like the
Yeah.
atmosphere. It's
Yeah.
it's awesome. It's really awesome. And from there, I just met more of the owners and the group, and that's pretty much it. I get to go out once in a, I've gone out once in a while for some other builds. Some of the builds we've had quite a few in Toronto lately, so I get to
Nice.
come out for that too. So it's
That,
nice. It's awesome.
that is hella cool. And I love somebody just said Instagram family. It's AZ
It's
Michael.
true.
It is, it really is. It's crazy the people who we meet and get to know that we might not otherwise ever meet. It's pretty
Absolutely.
phenomenal. And you've done work with Magnus Walker too? Yes?
No, I've met him
Okay.
a couple of times, but I
Okay.
haven't actually worked with him.
Okay. I was like, girl, you've been everywhere. I'm looking through your Instagram, like, what
Like
hasn't she done?
happenstance, I swear. I've been like the luckiest person.
I love it. No, I think there's a lot of hard work that's gone into that too.
Thank you. Thank you so
Oh
much.
my gosh. God, I had so many questions for you, and now they're like all out of my head. So what would you say has been like the biggest challenge that you faced in this industry?
Um, Retaining all of the information. Honestly, that is my downfall is my memory. I wish my memory was better. And so I wish I could retain all of the information. I find I don't remember enough and I have to refer to information a lot. And I guess it's because I have my hands in too many things, right? So I haven't like mastered anything.
I don't know. I used to laugh about that because I have a horrible short-term memory. Like I don't remember information. I don't.
I
But
say,
people would laugh at me all the time at the dealership, like, oh, you don't remember that bulletin number or that part number. And I'm like, no, if I can look it up, why am I bothering clouding my brain with
yep,
all of that useless information? Like,
yep,
if I can look it up, I don't need to memorize it.
yep,
And
exactly.
there's that old saying that masters have forgotten more than, right? How did they say
Yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll ever learn.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's okay that you don't have a great memory.
Okay,
It's because there's just so much stuff crammed in there that it can't all fit.
exactly.
All right. What about advice to the next generation?
The next
Or yeah,
generation, I
like or
guess,
what
oh
like the
man.
younger you, what would you say?
The younger me, I would tell myself not to be so hard on myself. I would tell myself not to be so hard on myself. That I mean, I don't. I was chatting with someone and they were making a comment on, it's okay admit that you don't know something. And I will always admit when I don't know something, because the last thing I want to do is fuck something up.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Um, and humility has been, like, I think a great asset to me. When you go and learn with somebody, and especially when you're learning classics with somebody, it's usually an older gentleman, and older gentlemen are very set in their ways. You can't go in guns blazing. They're not going to
No.
want to teach you,
Yeah.
right? So humility is a huge thing. You know, like, you know your worth, but also understand other people's worth. And
Yes.
you have to sacrifice sometimes to
Yeah.
learn, to get what you need. So,
That's power. I'm really glad you brought that up. I think that's a really important thing that, a lot of times I see kids coming out of tech school and they're like, I've just graduated top of my class and I know everything. And I'm like, no, no, you know this much. And that's awesome. And I'm proud of you. And if you walk into the shop with that attitude, nobody's going to help you.
exactly, exactly,
Yeah, interesting.
exactly.
Yeah, and even if you do know better, like, or think you know better, like, be quiet and listen anyway. You might learn something that you didn't know that you didn't know.
Exactly. Like, I can't stress that enough.
Yeah,
You don't know what you don't know, so you can't go assuming all the time.
yeah. And for folks out there listening, like, look up this girl's history and this girl's resume and what she has done. And like, that's where humility gets you, right? Like, going in with a I'm ready to learn attitude gets you all of those incredible opportunities.
Exactly. It opens doors for you, because nobody's going to want to open doors if you're sour or entitled, or
Have an
so. Yeah,
attitude, or yeah, totally.
exactly.
Very cool. Good advice. Good advice.
Thank you.
All
Thank you.
right.
Thank you.
I'm going to take a peek really quickly because there's been a bunch of questions coming through.
Hiya,
Um,
Dan.
and I want to see. Nhu is such a kick-ass person. Spent time with her on a few occasions out at TurboCraft. This is Turbo
Awesome.
Brat 930 says hello.
Hi, Brad.
And we've got a question is how did you get your foot in the door working on high performance cars?
Luck. Like I said, it was just pure luck. I interviewed well.
Well, okay, so let's dive into that a little bit because I don't know about you, but I get questions about that a lot. Is how do I show up for an interview? And I think particularly I find female techs asking this, like, do I show up looking professional? Do I show up looking dressy? Do I show up in a technician's uniform? How do I answer the difficult questions? So you say you interview well. What does that mean? What does that look like? What would you be your advice to someone on how to interview well?
Good point. Someone asked me that too. What does a woman wear to a mechanic interview?
Yeah.
And I would say business casual or casual, I guess. I mean, jeans. I wore jeans. I've seen guys wear jeans. I think that's appropriate. I think if you dress up too much, they will see you in a position that, is more appropriate for that attire. So that's
Yes.
dangerous.
Yeah. I agree with you on that. I think showing up in fancy, like, office professional clothes, they're going to then want to try to put you in the office. And
Exactly.
yeah, so you got to
Exactly.
show that you're able to be out in the shop and you want to be out in the shop. Yeah.
Exactly.
Did you ever get any like crazy questions in interviews, like because you're a girl or
No, I don't think so. I've been lucky in that I'm lucky a lot, apparently.
clearly
In
I
that,
had ridiculous questions asked of me in interviews.
um, I guess because I've always been referred, and so by the time I get to meet this person, they're just they're trying to see if my personality jives with theirs and would mesh well with the rest of the team. Um, So I think I've gotten off kind of lightly in that regard. I've never really had to list my accomplishments or all
Yeah.
these kinds of things. So it's always just been, what is your personality like? They've never been really hard questions in interviews.
That's phenomenal. I hope
Thank
that's a
you.
sign of like times changing because, yeah, obviously I think references and being referred to a new shop or a new job is the way to go because it's like a warm lead, right? You're not walking in
Yeah.
cold. They know a little bit
Yeah.
about you and it's a positive thing already. And And gosh, I wish more jobs were interviewing their people based on, is your personality going to be a good fit for us? Like, is this going to work for
Yeah, that's so
both
important.
parties?
That's
It
really, really
is.
important.
And it gets
Yeah.
missed a lot, I feel like. They're so
But
focused
then,
on just accomplishments and skill set and not about personality.
yeah, and then there's like, dissent among the troops or whatever. It just makes for awkward work environment, you know.
Right? Oh my gosh.
And
That's
I've also
really
used,
awesome to hear that you had such a like accepting experience coming up.
yeah, I've been really lucky. I will say that I've been really lucky.
I think part of it's
And then
Canada.
it is though. We're so nice. We're so nice.
That's awesome.
And Instagram has been a huge help too. My last job was the new place that I'm at now. That's how they learned of me, is because of this
Nice.
reputation that I've built using
That's
Instagram. So
awesome. I think that's something powerful too about being niche, however you pronounce that, right? It's, because Porsche is a smaller, tighter knit community than, say, being a Honda technician or a Ford technician, right? Like it's an enthusiast scene and
yeah,
it's like a family, right? It's
it's
much
very
tighter knit.
sneaky.
Yeah, which means
Yeah.
you have the opportunity to wind up, going to all these amazing experiences and doing all these things and getting to know, like, the royalty of the Porsche world, like you've worked with and are involved in. You are royalty in the Porsche world.
It's so funny because like when we're chatting as like techs together, we're royalty. But as a tech, when you're like with sales, for example, you're not royalty. They're royalty.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah, yeah.
That's one of the things aside from like this barrier of the gender barrier, that's also something I'd like to see gone. Because I mean, Porsche, every time you go to a training course, they're like, the techs are the backbone, you carry on and da 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 da. But and I have friends in sales, so please don't hate me if you guys watch this. But and it's different for me because I'm a female, I've made friends, but I always felt that the techs were always treated like,
Poorly.
like the dirt. And I don't like that. I don't understand why that is.
Yeah. I agree with
So,
you. I think there's two things going on personally. Like I think one is it's society wide, right? It's not just within the dealerships or the shops. It's society wide that we look at office jobs versus field jobs
blue collar.
and blue collar, right? As a hierarchy versus as just different, right?
Hmm.
Both equally valuable, both equally important, just different. Instead, we
Hmm.
look at it as, oh, you work with your hands, oh, you're less than, and that's a really unfortunate thing. But I
Yeah.
think like the other piece that like layers on top of that is I've been in just about every position in a shop. I've been a shop owner, I've been the service advisor, I've been the technician, I've been all of the things, and I've worked in lots of shops and I've done coaching with other shops and other businesses, even outside of the automotive industry. And I feel like whoever you talk to, whatever position they're in, whatever business they're in their opinion, they're the one that does all the work.
Yes.
Right? So like the
Yes.
techs are like, we do everything and they make all the money. And the service advisors are like, we do everything. So,
Exactly. It's so true.
so I think there's a little bit of just kind of human nature thing that goes on there too. But yeah, I
Try
remember
to stay.
feeling that way as a technician, like that I at the dealership, I was like, I feel like we're the ones doing all the work and we're not getting appreciated or respected for it. And then once I opened up my own shop, I feel like it kind of blew my blinders off a little bit to see what all went into everything else. And I was like, oh wow, everybody else is working just as hard as I am. We just have very different roles and we all need to be excelling for things to work magically and have the shop be successful. You know what I
Good
mean?
point.
But
Yeah, good point.
yeah, but yes, we are societally looked down on, which is, I'd like to see that end as well.
Yeah, same.
100%. Somebody actually asked in the comments, I saw it roll through, would you ever consider owning or opening up your own business?
I get asked all the time, and no.
That's
No.
interesting. So tell me why, because I feel like every, especially female technician that I speak to, It's, I want to open up my own shop one day. I want to open up my own shop one day. Why not?
Because I want to wrench. I don't want to, be buried in paperwork and like red tape and liability. Like, ugh.
Cheers to that.
Cheers.
Amen. Oh my gosh. Thank you for saying that. Ugh. I hear it so often, and it's the first question I ask people. I go, why do you want to get into business for yourself? Are you going into business for yourself because you want to be a business owner? Or are you going into business for yourself because you want to
Haven't
work
had a
on
good boss.
cars and you want to make more money or whatever it is, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And normally it's some like, I want to make more money. I'm tired of making somebody else rich. And I'm like, yeah, but when you own your own business, you don't wrench anymore.
Yeah, and you're not going to be rich. You're just going to be stressed all the time.
I know, I've been there, done that. 13 years.
Oh, man.
And it's true. I mean, that's how the first all-female build came about, was because I was doing 13 years of being a shop owner, and I wasn't working with my hands anymore, and I was craving and missing working with my hands and learning new skills and working with other people and building things.
Yeah.
Like you lose that. So
Totally. I see it all the time too. I've worked with guys, exceptional techs, who branch out or are promoted or whatever into these roles where they slowly move away from the bench, and you see the light die in their eyes. It's so sad.
totally. It's true. It's true. And it's not just in the automotive industry. I mean, shoot, it's across the board, like businesses
With
in
any,
general.
true. That's true.
Yeah, you go into the business thinking because you love the thing, and then you realize you don't
You don't get to do that thing
anymore. So good for you for knowing and seeing that and knowing what you want for yourself. That's
Yeah, I get asked all the time. Nope.
nope.
Absolutely.
Good for you. Very cool. Another very important question is, will you come out and work on the next all-female build with us?
I would love to. I need more information. How does that all work?
I'm like, we've got to get you down here. Like, if I have to put a Porsche engine in this thing, so be it. I will do that. But
I will do whatever.
Yeah, we're doing a Volvo this year, and
Awesome.
as soon as the travel and all of this stuff settles down and the world goes right back to where it's supposed to be, we'll be getting started again, and I will reach out to you offline and we'll figure something out. But I'd love to have you come out and play with us.
Amazing. I would be so happy to.
Yay. All right, so fair is fair. You said that you had questions for me as well.
Yeah, just how did you get how are you sitting across from me right now?
Oh my goodness. Well, I started an Instagram live and I asked you to join me. No, I was similar to you in, like, I didn't grow up around cars. This wasn't like a career path that was laid out for me as a kid. My parents weren't into cars. It wasn't like anything like that.
Yeah. Totally out in left field.
Totally. Yeah. My parents don't know where I came from. Like, my mom's from New Jersey. She doesn't even like pumping her own gas, let alone working on cars, right? So, but yeah, it's kind of started in high school. It got kindled there with Volkswagen Bugs. So I started out German with, the flat air cooled engine.
Bug bit you, yeah.
And then I went off to college because that's what I was supposed to do. And that's what I was told should do. And it wasn't like a question. It wasn't, do you want to go to college? It was, which college are you going to go to?
Yeah.
What are you going to study, right? It was just expected, right? So I went and I did that. And I really thought that I was studying constitutional law and women's studies. So I wanted to go into law, and I wanted to fight the good fight for women on the legal side of things. And I got done with college and I was like, I miss working with my hands. And I graduated from college in May of 2000. And in July of 2000, I was enrolled in technical school. So that was...
At least you do, right?
Yeah. Shocked all the friends and family, loaded up my little Volkswagen Bug on a trailer and drove cross country to Arizona. And
Wow, that's awesome.
here we are. And then the rest of it is kind of like you. It's been luck and I think a willingness to say yes. And I think it's funny like, with all these interviews, I've been loving doing these happy hours and you know hearing people's stories and sharing people's stories. And I feel like there's been this theme amongst all of the ladies that have done incredible stuff is we were willing to say yes, not fully knowing what we were getting into. Like, oh, that's a challenge? Yes, I'll take that on. I'm down, right? And I think that's the big theme through all of it is just being willing to jump and take on something and know that you might suck at it at first, but that if you work at it, you'll get better.
You'll get better, exactly. And there's something to be said about like, okay, I'm scared of this, but I'm gonna fucking do it anyways. Like it's so empowering.
Yes, it is 100%. God, it's the best thing. And I think it's even more exhilarating when you're scared of it. And on top of that, other people are saying you shouldn't do that. Because then it's extra like, ooh, and I did it.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's the best thing ever. I
It
always
is.
say I
I'm
like to
not
jump out of
crazy. I'm
airplanes.
great.
What's that?
Sorry. I'm not crazy. I'm great.
There you go. Well, I am crazy, but that's different. I like to say I like to jump out of the airplane and figure out how to build my parachute on the way down.
On the way down.
Like, just go, just go. Like, and it's not saying I don't have the fear voice and the I'm scared voice. It's just, I don't got time for you right now. I've got this
Yeah.
thing that I'm going to go do, even though I'm terrified. I'm going to do it
Yeah.
anyway.
This does not solve my problem. This
Yeah.
does.
Exactly. Exactly. So what's next for you? Like any big plans, any big like goals? You've done and accomplished a crap ton. What's that next like big hairy ass goal that you want to accomplish?
I want to get settled at the new place, and I want to get really good at the classic Ferrari. Actually, I just want to. I feel like my education has been really focused on the Porsche for a long time, and I will always be a diehard Porsche fan at this point. But I would like to generalize my knowledge and be able to not be hesitant when approached with a different make or anything like that. I just want to
That's cool.
get really good.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. When I worked for BMW for 7 years, and it was the same thing. Like you kind of referred to the parts changers at the dealership, and it does. It becomes a little bit of that. I don't. It's not a dig on dealership technicians. It's you see the same
Not at all.
cars over and over and over again. You know what goes wrong with them, right?
Yeah.
You hear the customer complaint, and you're like, oh, I know what's wrong.
Yeah.
Right? I know exactly what's wrong with that car, and it gets kind of mundane and
Repetitive, yeah.
repetitive. Yeah. So when I left the dealership and started being independent, it was like, oh my gosh, there's a whole new world of things to learn. And it was only a couple of years into that I really felt like I could say, I'm a good technician. Because at first I was a BMW technician. And then a few years in, I was like, okay, I'm a good technician now. Now I'm a good technician.
I totally hear that. I totally hear that.
First time I had to do a timing belt, because BMWs don't have timing belts.
You've got chains.
We have chains. And like there was one engine that had timing belts, but they were really old and we didn't see them at the dealership. So the first time I had to do a timing belt on my own with no help on a Toyota, I was like, I don't know what to do. So intimidating.
And if you mess up, that's catastrophic. That's really intimidating. That's really, really intimidating.
Yep. Yep. I remember thinking to myself, like, I'm not a real mechanic. Who the hell do I think I am starting my own business when this timing belt engine is going to kick my butt? This was like 14 years ago. And I was like, who the hell do I think I am? And I totally had to psych myself up and tell that little like gremlin, like, go away.
Yeah, get out of here.
Get out of here. I don't got time for you. Like, I got to do some research and figure this out. And of course, it was pre like, internet being
Google.
as really like thorough as it is now. So I had a timing belt book. I didn't
For
look it
all
up
of
on
the make and
internet.
model? Oh, wow.
Gotta love it.
I know we're spoiled now with the availability of information.
It's crazy. It is nuts. And I'm so grateful for all the people who take the time to do the videos and share their content and
Yes.
whatnot, because yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I appreciate all of those videos, the how-to videos online for all of them, like not just car stuff.
Yeah, I know. These days you can learn how to do anything.
Hmm.
So how's are you guys still like basically quarant like are you still on lockdown and stay at home or
We are quarantined, but lots of stuff have been opening up um slowly. They opened up some parks, sorry, this past weekend, but I think people were like too gung ho and it was like way too many people out at the same time. So
no?
they're kind of disappointed about that. But I go back to work on Monday, so
Oh,
I think things are slowly starting to open back up.
nice. At the shop.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah. I'm very
Yay.
excited.
Although I'm sure Hillary is going to be sad to lose you
I
in the
know.
iron.
I'll see her Saturdays.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah, now that I'm like into the Camaro, I was intimidated with that because I don't really have much experience with the Camaro. But now that I'm into it, I'm really enjoying it, and I'm sorry I didn't come out sooner.
It's, once you get past the fear of it or the intimidation of it, excuse me, it's all parts and pieces and it's all the same concepts. It's just all the different
Exactly.
manufacturers have different ways of going about doing it.
Yeah.
But once you get away from the, ooh, that's different, then it's all the same underneath it all.
Yeah. Exactly. It's just nuts and bolts.
It really is. And it's the puzzle of it that's fun. Yeah. Learning
And the
old
good thing
cars
about
was, what's that?
sorry, I was gonna say the good thing about the old cars is there's not that many gadgets, right? So it's like
Right.
basic, it's straightforward, it's easier.
Yeah, it's all purely mechanical. There isn't all of the ridiculousness like
Yeah,
CAN buses
sensors and
and all of
sensors and
the
solenoids and
yeah. But it's funny though because I only knew newer cars. So when I went to starting to work on older cars, they were intimidating to me because it was
ah,
different, right?
yeah.
It was just different. I'm like, I can't plug in.
For real.
Yeah, where's the OBD connector on this?
I know. Although I've gotten really comfortable using the 5-gas analyzer, the sniffer, so I'm good with that. I'm happy.
Nice.
It's not the same as an OBD plugin,
No,
but
totally different. Totally different. Oh my gosh. Somebody just said, wait, so you have to tune the carbs on the Ferrari. Yeah, have fun with that.
yeah.
Let's see. What other questions do we have here? Are there any new ones? I just want to make sure. No, okay. Just wanted to make sure we weren't missing any important questions. Oh my gosh. What else should we talk about? What else does the world need to know about the amazing Nhu Nguyen?
Nothing.
Oh, come on. Have you been homeschooling your son through all of this?
No, not really. I don't I don't come down really heavy on him when it comes to education. Not like in like a really strict way. He's got homework. I'm on with him with homework, and we're always learning and watching educational stuff. I I think we've got a lot to deal with right now without everyone worrying about also homeschooling their kids. Everybody's missing out right now, and everyone is going to be on the same level. Not everyone's homeschooling at the same level. So if you're gung ho and drilling everything into your kids, they still start back at square one when everything goes back to normal in September, right? So I think a lot of people are kind of driving themselves crazy with
Mm,
that. But then again, I've got a 14-year-old. I'm lucky. I don't have to keep like little ones busy.
right.
So
That's a refreshing perspective. That's interesting. So what has he been doing? Has
just
he been
hanging
going
out.
crazy?
No, he's a homebody. We're homebodies, so we just hang
Nice.
out, we chill. Yeah. I got him I'm trying to get him to read. He doesn't really like reading so much. He likes manga, um, and art and stuff like that.
Awesome. Very cool.
Yeah. He started learning the guitar.
Nice. I think it's interesting this divide of like, you know, people who aren't working during all of this, or people who aren't on the front lines, like the introverts versus the extroverts.
Yeah.
Because the extroverts are like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. And the introverts are like, okay.
It's Friday, okay.
Like, this is kind of cool. Am I right?
I know, I'm like living my dream right now.
It's everybody thinks I'm a total extrovert, but I'm a huge introvert. And so it's been kind of nice. I'm not gonna lie.
I know. I totally agree. I totally agree. People think the same about me too. I guess it's because we seem to be out there on Instagram, but I
Yeah.
mean that's like within these parameters only, right? And then outside of that, I get to be by myself and alone and quiet, and I'm comfortable
Yes.
like
And social media makes it really easy to be extroverted without actually being extroverted.
that. Yeah, without actually talking to people.
Because I'm being extroverted from the comfort of my pillow fort in my house.
Exactly.
I love it. Somebody asked, Andrea Samagi asked, do you prefer working on newer Porsches or do you like the simplicity of the older ones?
I love the older ones, but I like the new ones. But I love the older ones, definitely.
What about them from like a working on them perspective, or is it a purist perspective?
From a working on them perspective, I get to dig in more. With the new ones, I don't know. With the new ones, trim is trim, doesn't matter if it's new or it's old, right? And so when you're talking about suspension, I'd rather work on suspension on the newer cars than the older cars. But electronics isn't like my strong point. So the classics, because there's less of it, but then with the classics, you also get to dig into the engines and the transmissions, which you don't get to with the new cars.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, that's fair. I think it's interesting the distinction, like suspension, no. Right?
yeah, definitely.
That's fair. At the dealership, I remember I had interviewed at a Porsche dealership in Manhattan a gazillion years ago, and the guy, the shop foreman there, he was like, the bulk of what we do is squeaks and rattles. Did you find that to be the case at the dealership?
There is a lot of squeaks and rattles, but the thing with us is we insist that the client drive with us in the car so that we make sure we hear what they're complaining about and we fix that. We don't go fixing something that we hear that's not what they're talking about.
Amen. Oh God, because that's like the worst, isn't it? Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
and that happens all the time, and then that just leads to the customer being pissed off, right?
Yeah.
Because they're like, I brought it in with this noise. I just paid you X number of dollars for you to fix it,
And it's still
and
there.
it's still there. Well, I fixed a noise. It just wasn't your noise.
Exactly. Exactly. And it gets frustrating too. But not everyone's willing to go for the drive with you. A lot of the higher end car owners, they just want it done, right?
Yeah.
So it's tough.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Yeah.
Interesting. Are there any things that you don't like doing on cars, like as far as work?
Um, I don't like, I don't love AC stuff too much. I don't know. I find
Okay. Interesting. I haven't heard that one before.
you don't think about it a lot, but I mean HVAC, you've got like everything's buried all the time. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's hard to get to,
Yeah,
or so. Yeah, I don't really love HVAC,
that's fair
which
enough.
is who
I
even thinks
hated
about
it.
HVAC?
I hated it originally, and then Arizona, like, it is life. It
You,
is
you need it.
life. Oh my goodness. We are getting down to the end of the time that we have allotted because Instagram's going to kick us off. They only let us do an hour for live. So I appreciate so much you joining, and I want to connect more offline and chat more and figure out how we can work together somehow. But
Yeah.
you are awesome. Seriously, keep kicking ass out there. You are phenomenal. My hat's off to
Get out of
you.
here. I'm so happy to connect with you.
And
So happy to
everybody who's
connect with you.
watching this, make sure you check out Nhu's Instagram and catch up with her, follow her, check out what she's doing. She's seriously legit. This woman's the real
Thank
deal.
you so much. Thank
And
you. Thank you.
Thank you guys all for joining. Thank you. And I'm going to reach out via Messenger to get your address so that I can send you one of these lovely girl getting glasses.
Awesome.
All right.
And I wanted to shout out to...
What's that?
Sorry. Someone asked who my favorite shop dog is, so I just wanted to shout out Kitty, Hillary's Kitty.
You mean not my metal shop dog that I have? Like the actual
Did you name him yet?
dog?
Did you name him yet?
I haven't because I'm awful.
It'll come to me.
It's just the dog. I'm not very good at naming things. Literally my cat, who's like hanging out right here. Yeah. I'm so bad at naming things that his name is Handsome Man. Like, come on. So yeah, the dog is just the dog. All right. Anyway, you're awesome. Thank you guys all for joining. Thank you. We will talk more soon, okay?
Bye, Bogey. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys. Take care.